Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Own It with me, your host, Samantha Warren. Today, we have a little bit of a change up because this episode is actually me being interviewed and having a conversation with my dear friend, Dr. Onalee Makam, all about relationships and calling in our true life partner. And this weekend, I was hanging out with some girlfriends, and the conversation of partnership and relationship and men and all of this came up, and it was just been so present in so many of my friendships and conversations. And I was like, you know what? I think we need to air this episode. So that's what we are doing this week. Honestly, listening to this episode before I published it, it made me remember just the power of sharing your story and these little things that we just forget about in the journey of finding love or just building the life that we have. And so it really brought me so much joy to listen to the episode and to remember all these little nuggets that were part of my manifestation process in now being with my husband, Kurt. And you guys have heard me talk about Kurt on the show, but I think it's really intimate and fun to pull back the curtain and share the actual process before we did meet, because it wasn't just make a list and he's here. There was a process. And so, whether you have your partner or not, this episode really is going to expand your mind and what's possible for relationships and having a life partner that truly feels like they are on your team and you guys are working together in harmony and sync, and really complementing each other. So, without further ado, let's dive into the episode. I cannot wait to hear what you think. And just one last reminder, if you are not already subscribed, please do so. I love you. Thank you. Now let's dive in.
So Samantha, Sam, my beautiful guest, one of my good friends here, first guest since 2021.
I'm excited to be here and to go deep.
This is all about coming home to yourself and doing things and going against the grain and doing what's authentic to you. So, yes.
I love that. I think that's one of the things we definitely have in common is the importance on being true to yourself in everything that you do. And I think the only reason why we both feel that so deeply is because we've both abandoned ourselves in so many
Mm,
parts of our lives in the past, you know? So, yeah, it's an
yeah,
honor.
it is so good. Something that I love about you is your relationship that you have and your experience with love. I know my listener, the woman who usually come to me, love has been hard. It's been a challenge. And we don't have as many examples or seeing what's possible. And I just feel like you're a good example. You talk so well about your relationship and it's always in such a healthy way. So I kind of just want to start with that, wherever you want to take it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, you said like the part about examples, right? Like having good examples of healthy relationships is super important just for
Mhm.
our subconscious mind to know that what we do want is possible. And I do not believe I would be in the relationship and now marriage that I'm in if it wasn't for witnessing other people's healthy dynamics in a relationship where it just felt like two best friends who were on the same team and wanted to build a life with shared values. I didn't know that was possible, and I didn't really have any examples of that growing up. My parents are still married. I love them. They definitely have, I feel like they have like a decent relationship, but there's like communication issues and they don't really, I don't know, they like don't do stuff together. Like they do, but they don't, you know, it's like you see your parents in such a skewed way compared to like how they probably are because hashtag trauma, you know,
Yeah.
but yeah. But I really wanted my relationship to feel fun and alive, but also like really deep and philosophical and like we would have intellectually stimulating conversations. Um and I didn't want to intimidate the man. Like I had done that a lot in the past and I was like, nope, I am not going to settle for somebody who is intimidated by me or whatever. I'm like, no, I want that man to make me stretch and make me grow. And yeah, so I would just say like to start off is I had to see it was possible and then I was able to believe it was possible for me.
With that being said, is it after the fact that you were realizing you needed to see that it was possible, or were you actively looking for relationships that mirrored or that showed you something you wanted to see?
It was almost like once I saw the relationship, it was actually my friend from college and her boyfriend, and they
Mm.
had gotten engaged and gotten married in their early 20s. And just it was just like the way that they were together. Like I could feel how genuine their love was for each other and that they didn't want to change the other person and that they just like actually respected each other and spoke highly of each other. And I had never witnessed that. Like when we grow up and we watch movies or we see just relationships generally, it's always like passive aggressive communication or these really unhealthy patterns that are, they're like normal, but that's not healthy. Just because it's common doesn't mean it's healthy. And I think some part of me knew that. And I just really was looking for more in a relationship. And when I saw my friends in relationship, I was like, wait, it is possible. And when I wrote my list, I made a list of everything I wanted to feel and everything I wanted to have in a man. When I made that list was partially inspired by my friends that were in a relationship.
That was my next question. If you made a list before
Yeah,
actually meeting him. Okay,
I did. I met him like 6 weeks after I made my list.
did you feel like you got everything on that list? Were there some things that it wasn't quite it or you realized you didn't need it?
So, okay, so like a little backstory and context.
Mm-hmm.
All I was doing in my life at the time before I met him was like working and working out and just like taking care of myself. And I remember hearing a quote that was like, in order to meet the partner of your dreams, you need to become the woman of your dreams. Right. It's like, because we can't be a match to something that we aren't. And I was like, okay, like, yo, girl, gotta freaking get it together? So I had spent probably that last year just working on myself. And I had come out of a maybe almost 2-year relationship with an older man. I was young, like I was 25, and I think he was 50, like he was an older dude. And we can talk about that relationship if you want, but that relationship showed me like the feeling of like a soulmate connection. And it was so beautiful and completely not planned and on purpose. And I honestly didn't even want to go into the relationship, but my soul was like, you need to be with this person to learn how to receive love. And I did. And it changed my life. And I feel like if it wasn't for being with him, I wouldn't have been able to be in my now marriage. And after we ended that relationship, really just, it was just because of age. I was like, if I'm going to have a family, like, this is not going to work. Um, I was like, okay, I'm going to go single, be with myself, do my thing. And then I'm going to start asking guys out. And I went on a spree of pretty much asking out any hot guy. Like, like there was no filter except you need to be attractive. Like that was it. Like it was so surface level, but it was really good for me because I started to realize my anxious attachment pattern or like my desire to like make it work, even though it was clearly not like they're like, oh, like he's a great guy. And meanwhile in your head, you're like, but like, like your body and your mind aren't synced up. Well, then I asked out Kurt, my now husband, and it was pretty much the way he looked at me and then what happened after that, which we can get into in a sec. But it was that solidified. Oh shit. Like I was terrified and I'd never felt that way before. And part of me knew, like, oh, fuck, this is different. You know,
I didn't know that you went on a spree like that.
I did. I did because I really wanted to get outside my comfort zone. And that was at a point in my life where I was really finding my voice. And I was like, why do we as women just have to wait for men to ask us out? Like, why? Like, and it's not to say, like, I'm, of course, men asking us out, but I also felt like because I do have a bigger personality, that men that are maybe more reserved would be scared. And after I asked Kurt out and he said yes, and we started dating for a little bit, he did tell me that he actually had planned to ask me out, but wanted to wait a few weeks because he didn't want to get rejected.
Oh.
So it's just to say for
Mm.
women listening, like maybe it's not there's anything wrong with you that you're not being asked out. It's also just it's really scary for a man too to ask you out. It takes a lot of balls, and I think like, obviously I have that standard dial of, okay, men, get it together, let's go. But also, okay, you try to do it. You see how scary it feels. Like, just to give men more credit of, hey, they have to put themselves out there and get rejected all the fucking time.
Well, I love that you said that because I even in one of my courses, Man in Power, I help the men. There is a whole module on the rejection wound because men get rejected so often. That's something they have to deal with. So, and sometimes maybe as women, we don't fully understand or realize like what that can do to them, especially rejection after rejection. And they do feel that like they want to, but it's like, oh, the sting of it again, or looking bad or creepy, or they have so many things that go on in their head that can prevent them. So that's good to take note of. And he felt that, and he's your person.
Yeah, totally. And like, my husband is a very confident man.
Mm.
Um, but I think that before you do anything worthwhile, you will be nervous. Like, of course, So I was just going on a bender, so I didn't even have any rejection wounds at the time. Like, whatever, I don't even care if he says no because I'm just practicing the muscle. Um, but I think for him, he kind of like had a sense or something earlier than I did. So I think it probably meant more to him.
Yes. Yeah, it does. I always say too, men really do have a sixth sense of they get an intuition and know. I don't know if it's primal or biological or something, but with working with a lot of men, I see it. They do have a strong sense
Yeah,
from the
for
get-go.
sure.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, we love men. We love men here. I'm so not about
Exactly.
like disempowering men or like I don't subscribe to like the feminine like hardcore feminist stuff. I'm like, no, guys, like that's ruining your relationships. Like it's ruining your marriages, it's ruining your life. Like it's not a healthy mindset. I really don't believe it is. So,
And I've been on a Bender, a Neville Goddard kick. I don't know if you've
mm,
gotten into his work,
yes.
like
Yes, I
OG.
have his like compilation book thing.
I don't blame you. It's literally on repeat. But the point I want to make here is that he talks a lot about how the world is just mirroring back to you. You can't blame the mirror of what it's showing you in the mirror. It's the thing on the other side. So if we have beliefs or expectations of men to be the worst or whatever, it's pretty much by law it's going to be reflected back to you. So I'm big on opening that conversation up as well. But
Yeah. I do believe that's part of the equation. I hear a lot of women say like, "Oh, there's no good guys out there," or like, "I just don't feel like any guy is gonna be able to like hold me or handle me in my success." I work with a lot of high achieving leaders and entrepreneurs, and if they are in a relationship issue, it's typically because they do have a core belief of like the man can't hold them, like they can't fully trust the man, they can't surrender fully to the man. And I do think it requires a rewiring and also just like a healing of your relationship to the masculine so that you can, as women, we can receive, what the men want to give us.
yes. I think that that's huge. I always say it's pretty impossible if you have a core belief of I do everything to try to lose weight and I can't lose weight. I tried this, this, this. I always say it's then almost impossible for the thing to work if that's what's ingrained over and over again. So good to be mindful of that and take a look at it. But one thing I'm wondering, what do you feel like you maybe had to let go of or stop doing before you were that match to Kurt?
What's interesting is I feel like I was given Kurt as a like, how do I even want to say this? I feel like when we met, we were young, we were 27.
Mhm.
No, 20. I was 29, he was 28. And it very much just synced up. We're both old souls, and I feel like that was our without using those words when we met, like, I do feel like that was our kind of connection of, like, "Oh, we get each other." But like, I almost didn't have to let go of anything until we got deeper into the relationship, where a lot of my patterns and things under the surface started to be revealed. Um, when I met him, I was very much in my unhealthy feminine energy. And meaning like I was not vulnerable. I was not connected to my emotions. I was very much in workaholic mode. I was just doing. And I remember pretty quickly into the relationship, he was like, yeah, this is not going to work. Like, not the relationship, but
Mhm.
like the way I was being. He was like, you just need to relax. Like, please relax and just like let me take care of it.
Mm.
And I just remember being like, what? Like, oh my God, he's so like disempowering me, like, which is hilarious because now I'm like, oh, thank God I
So
don't have to
good.
do all
Take a
the, yeah,
breath of
yeah.
fresh air.
I know.
Love that.
I really did wear achievement and accomplishment and doing all the things and being hyper independent as a badge of honor. And he really helped me, not even really through his spoken word, but just through his energy, like soften. And so I had to let go of this hyper masculine, I could do it myself. You don't need to help me. Pretend to be okay. Like that shell that I was wearing to protect myself. And I remember like I told him, I was like, you are the one of the first people I've ever cried in front of.
Mm.
Because at that time, I couldn't tell you the last time I cried. Like I couldn't tell you the last time I got mad. I I, I was very much living in a state of just kind of numbness, but my life was good, like it was good, but I wasn't really connected to the truth of who I was. And he was very connected to his sense of
Mm.
self and identity. And so it was really interesting because I was like, how did I end up with this man who is so sure of himself, strong sense of identity, work ethic, like just good, really, really good human who wants to love me even when I'm being crazy? And I had to work through a lot of my stuff around receiving more than what I asked for. You asked about the list. I
Mm.
got that list times 10,
Wow.
actually. I got everything on the list and I got so many more things that I truly, I still sit in gratitude daily of like,
Oh
what
my God.
the fuck?
I can feel it. Oh, wait, I feel like because the list is so that's what a lot of people say, like write a list, do the list. It's common guidance, but with your list, do you feel like you were putting characteristics way you wanted to feel? Like, do you even have any that you want to share that
Yeah. You
I think
know,
this is big. I think it can be really helpful.
it totally can. I will say I'll address the list, and I also wanna say that I did a lot of, like, beliefs work before I met
Mhm.
Kurt. Like, I
Mm.
had to believe I was worthy of the love I wanted. I had to believe that I was lovable. I had to believe that somebody wanted to be my long-term partner and adventure buddy. I had to really, just change how I saw myself in relationship. I had to rewire beliefs around being beautiful or pretty enough or whatever enough, like, just all the things. And when I made the list, I mostly made the list of how I wanted to feel in the relationship.
Mhm.
It actually wasn't many physical characteristics or even like 3D traits because I mean, if you when you study manifestation, really what you want, whether it's a relationship or anything, you want the way that you're going to feel in that thing. You don't actually care about the thing.
Mhm.
And I had been recognizing that and I was like, "You know what? I'm not gonna play the game of, like, I need to date a 6'5" bodybuilder, entrepreneur, has loads of money in the bank," because that's kind of what I thought I wanted, which I wouldn't be mad if that was what he was, but I was like, "No, I really want to cultivate a healthy relationship." Like, it doesn't to me, it almost didn't matter as much what it looked like. I was like, I wanted to feel good.
Mm.
And and, like, approaching it from a very embodied place. Because at the end of the day, you can be with the hottest fucking dude who has all the money in the world, and you can feel empty, lonely, and angry, and it won't matter. Like, money won't solve it. How nice his abs are won't solve it. Like, it's not the answer. And so, I made that list of how I wanted to feel, and, it was like, safe, loved, heard, understood, definitely challenged. Like, I didn't wanna be in a complacent relationship, I really wanted challenge. I wanted to do, like, active and healthy things, I wanted to explore an adventure. So, it was really just, like, how the relationship felt,
Mm.
and yeah, and then I started to put in the action steps to make that happen. I remember having this moment where I was like, what am I doing? Like, if I wanna meet my future husband, I will say I did date to marry. I was not dating casually, I was only dating to marry. So I set that intention. I was like, "If I'm gonna meet my future husband, he's not gonna just, like, roll out from under my bed and be like, 'Oh my god, I've been waiting for you, baby. Like, let's get married.'"
Are you
Like,
sure?
I know, contrary to what, like, the
Yeah.
fairy tale in us wants to believe, like, I was like, I need to put myself into the world. Like, nobody is going to find me if I don't make myself visible. And so I signed up for stuff. I went to the gym. I got out of my house when it's like so easy to not. And this was a little bit before COVID. And I just put myself out there and I opened myself up to the relationship. And I feel like that's why it happened. When I think about it, the timeline was quite quick. But like, I do think it's why it happened fast is because I took very logical, practical action of like, okay, if I want to meet my husband, where would I go? What would I do? Where would I be? Like, it just started to put myself in situations and put myself out there, and then we met.
I'm really happy you're sharing this because I don't know all this. I haven't heard this from you. And what I'm hearing too, it's almost like where they say where luck and preparation meet, or when opportunity and preparation meets, they call it luck. That's kind of like the vibe that I'm getting. People don't realize there was stuff going on behind the surface. And then by the time it was ready, okay, it came in, but you were doing that. And that's why I think it's so important to not compare or wonder, well, why did it work so quick for her? It looked like that was she wrote a list and it snap of the finger, it happened. But you were doing the deep rooted actual stuff that people don't see, they don't always talk about. So this is important.
Yeah, and I do think that's why, I have a lot of friends that are actively, putting themselves out there and like looking for their partner life or life partner or just ended relationships because they realize that like if they were to remake their list right now, the person that they were with is really not feeling the way that they know that they are here to feel. And it's like, my advice to anyone that is on that journey is like, first, just truly fall in love with your life and self. And like, that is the priority. And once you're there, also be honest with yourself about, are you actually ready to be in a relationship? Because, I have a client right now who is single and she's building a brand. And she is very much in, I need to build my empire era. And she was kind of casually dating a little and like on apps. And I said to her, I was like, honestly, do you have space for a relationship right now with your priorities? And she was like, no, like not
Mhm.
really. Like it's really, I'm like, do you think it would be a distraction from the work that you want to do and what you want to build right now? Like that's your main goal. And um and I also have the belief that you can do both at the same time. But like I was getting this feeling for her, like she told herself she wanted it, but her body was like, mm-mm, it's not the right time. And so I think just honestly getting honest with yourself about like, are you really ready for the relationship or are you telling yourself you are, but actually you have different goals that you want to go all in on and that's okay, Um, because for me, I had already put in a shit ton of work on where I was going, and I was very much like in a groove that I actually had space emotionally, mentally, everything to be in a relationship with somebody, go on dates, get to know them, like build the relationship because it takes time, to meet someone, get to know them. It's not just like a thing you check off a list. It's pretty much like a full-time job, I feel like it can be.
Yeah. No, and even as you're saying that, there's been moments of frustration with my dating when I've been in the incorrect relationship too. It always pulls me further from my business, further from my purpose. And again, it's not a law, it's not a rule, but in my experience, like that is what happens. So I had to learn, like, I would rather be not with the incorrect person, build the business, do what I need to do. And two, in the dating phase, right? Like you love seeing them, you want to see them sometimes rather than do your podcast episode or take a client call or do certain things. So, yeah, I think there can be different seasons of what to prioritize and build that foundation.
For sure. Yeah, and, I think back to I wouldn't have been ready to meet him even 6 months earlier. I wouldn't have.
Oh my God.
It
Yeah.
like, the timing of it was so perfect. I had also just left my job as a personal trainer and went all in into my business a month before I met Kurt, and that also felt like a really significant in hindsight, it felt significant. Like, I created my own freedom And
Mm.
I was feeling so happy and excited and all the things and just really in my, yeah, my purpose. And then I met him and I don't know. I don't know if this is true, but I do feel maybe there's some Bible verse on this or some book, but like I do feel like when we are mission driven humans and we're like wanting to build something with meaning and purpose, sometimes I do feel like we will not be given the partner we want until we really commit to that path. And it's not because like we're being punished. It's because like if you have that person in your life, because I can say this from experience, once you have your life partner, it is really fucking easy to just want to do things with them and fuck around
Mhm.
and get distracted.
I believe it.
And 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 when you don't have that partner, it kind of forces you to face the stuff you've maybe been avoiding or the work you've been avoiding doing. And it does rocket launch you into your purpose, into your meaning. And then when you're in that, I do believe you are given a partner who can support that life's work. Maybe not like in the business or in the career, but just be a supportive person, you know? And so I feel like that's how it happened for me. And I know this because a few years into our relationship, I started to notice my desire to just chill and hang out with him grew and like overtook the desire to work. And I was like, whoa. And I think because our relationship was very healing for me. So it felt really good to be in that. But then it pulled me away from my purpose and my mission and the impact I know I'm here to make. And I know that that's kind of the biggest thing for me in this life is like, I'm here to make a lot of impact and really be in my purpose. And so I had to get real with myself, even in the context of our relationship, and be like, I need to just put my fucking head down and keep doing my thing. And he's not going anywhere. Like, he's there. We're still in it. Love him. He loves me. We're now married. Like, it's it's good. He can be a really good complement and a partner, but I don't have to let him in our relationship be a distraction for my purpose and growth.
When you said you know he's not going anywhere, do you feel like that was a belief you had to work on before he came into your life, or did you kind of always feel secure or know you could trust somebody to stay or be there?
That's a great question. I don't think I ever had a fear of abandonment in relationship, or at least it didn't show up like, oh, I'm scared he's going to cheat on me or leave me. Have never had that belief. And it's probably because my parents are still married. They've never cheated on each other and they've been together through thick and thin, you know? Um, but I did recognize that a few years into the relationship, I had anxious attachment kind of patterns show up or like codependency show up where I didn't even know it was possible being this way, but like I became clingy, codependent, and like it felt like I needed him. And that was a very identity shattering for me because I've always been the one that's just figured it out and held it on my own, you know?
Yeah.
And so I definitely had to work through that. Um, but it was almost like once I let myself get attached to him of like, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, like this is so good. What the fuck?
Mm,
Then you get worried about what you have to lose and it does create it's very human, I think, of us. When we have something so beautiful, we don't want to lose it, you know? And yeah, my biggest fear is him just like dying.
right.
But I think everyone's biggest fear is their life partner dying. Like it's fucking that would be awful. I don't know what I would do, honestly. It would be devastating. But I try not to think about that unless I'm watching like a movie where there's a scene like that.
No.
And I just really try
Somehow.
to live as much as I can in the
Mm,
present moment because I'm like, you don't know. Like, you don't know. Like, something could happen to one of us tomorrow. I do. I feel like I'm very in touch with my own mortality and I don't know why that is, but I do feel like every day is my last day in a very strange way. And so I try to go all out in everything I do every day so that if something were to happen, I wouldn't have regret, you know? Mm. But yeah, I mean, I hope that we live to 100 and like fucking die with our hands
hands together.
together and
I know. Like
like,
so
yeah,
close.
I
Yeah.
mean, yeah, of course. But who knows? I have a feeling like I'm going to die before him,
Well,
which I'm
then yeah,
happy
you wouldn't have
about.
to have the pain of it.
Yeah, for sure.
A final thing, like two final things I feel like coming up. The death thing, I was writing about it yesterday, and I think it's very spiritual, the acceptance of of death. When I think when we can accept that our immortality, it does allow us to live more and to go all out. I think people too who have lost people really close to them sometimes get that a little bit quicker or in a more profound way sometimes, because it really shows like, oh shit, this is real. Like we aren't always going to be here. Why am I worried about things? Why am I so stressed? Like, let me go for it. So that was coming up in my field too. But the final thing I want to end on is in relationship. Once you're dating, you're in a relationship, maybe even after engaged, married. You said you did go through a little phase, you felt a little codependent, felt a little needy, but I do feel sometimes, because I have a lot of clients who also are married, and when the spark is gone or they can't get back to how they felt in the beginning, or they feel he's not desiring them as much. Any, like, I guess, tips, tricks, or something you've noticed that you need to do to still stay in your feminism, your magnetism, and keep the desire, the spark alive just through some of your experience?
Totally. Um, so I think when I was in the height of that unhealthy, like, relationship dynamic, Kurt and I were living and traveling full time in our van. And so spending that much time with somebody in that small amount of space, I think is very unhealthy. And even though we did it for 3 years and it was amazing and we saw all these states and traveled, it it was like too the dose was too much. You know, we needed our own time, we needed our own friends. And so when I am fulfilled in my life and other parts of my life, my relationship with Kurt is effortless and easy and fun.
Mm.
It's when those times where I was talking about is when I was not happy in my life, and so I was looking to him to validate me or to fulfill my needs instead of me doing that for myself or, you know, leaning on girlfriends or go doing a hobby or doing something for myself. I was seeking that within him. And that's, of course, in a relationship, like, I feel like we each have 100% and together we make 200%. And so that's okay that, like, we help each other in times where we are depleted or low. But it was like, because I was not feeling seen or loved or whatever, I was seeking that from him. And then that made me feel needy and clingy. And then that repelled him because he was like, ew, get away from me. You know, like, he would never say that, but like his energy.
Mm.
And and so fortunately, he was, like, patient enough with me to, like, work for me to work through that, and I genuinely believe, like, the more as women we are connected to ourselves, our physical bodies, our joy, what we love doing, hobbies, friends, like, whatever, anything that just brings us joy and pleasure, the easier our relationships will be because we are not seeking anything. I think everyone can relate to being in a friendship where you feel like that friend is so fucking needy and you're like, "Oh my god, bitch, go get a hobby." Like, you know? And
Yeah.
and it's the same thing. It's literally it's just like and codependency is so normalized in culture where, like, people call each other every day, multiple times a day, and I'm like, "Wow, that's a lot of what the fuck?" You know? Like, guys, like, we need to think our own thoughts and be our own humans, and I think that ultimately will lead to a healthy relationship when you have 2 people who have a sense of identity, a sense of self, um, you know, at least are in self-acceptance. Maybe they're not fully in self-love, and they can grow together with that person knowing that you're on the same team. You know, you're not trying to win and beat each other and one up each other or be right or be wrong. Kurt and I always talk about being on the same team. And if we're not on the same team, I'll be like, "You're not on my team right now." You know, like, we'll kinda be sassy about it,
Aw.
and we'll call each other out and just be like, "You're right." Like, we want the same thing ultimately in the end, which is to be loved and to be happy and to be at peace and to move forward together. So, let's just get there faster.
Yeah. Everything you said is so in alignment, I feel like, with coming home to yourself. That's the whole key. That's a lot of my work. It's like you be your person, recharge your beauty batteries, love yourself, and you enter a relationship or you're in relationships. It's to me, that's where the magic lies. When I have a client who's about to get into a relationship or they just got into a relationship, I'm always so big on like exactly what you're saying. I'm like, stick with your yoga, continue to go on your coffee
Mm,
dates. Cause sometimes as women, especially, we get really hyped up and excited with the man we're seeing. Like, of course, we love being with them, but we'll fall away on those things. But it starts to compound and add up and over time. And then we can. definitely been in relationships and phases where I leaned so much to the man for my happiness and all these things. I stopped doing all the things I was doing in the beginning. So
Totally.
I'm
You
so big
lose
on that.
yourself. I think
Lose.
I think it's a very common thing that happens, and I didn't even realize that was happening until we had so many conversations about it, you know? I was like, "Wow, I am not doing the things that I used to do that bring me joy, and I need to get back to doing the things that make me feel good about
Yeah.
myself and fill me up and not look to fill my cup by one person." That's a really unrealistic expectation. You think that you're gonna get all your needs met by one person? Oh my god, you're putting so much pressure on that one person, you know?
Yeah.
Like, you are allowed to have your needs met by a lot of different things, and your partner can be one of those things, but not it can't he can't be the whole thing.
Absolutely. Imagine if you were that person to somebody else and they were expecting everything from you. That's
It's
not fun at
exhausting.
all.
Yeah, and that's what happens when women and men are in reversed roles. Like, the woman is the wears the pants, as they say, and does everything for the man. She gets resentful. He gets complacent, has no desire for her, and it feels like something bad happens, or they break up, or there needs to be a reversal of the roles and also a redistribution of like the needs. You know, it's like, guys, like, let's have well-rounded lives, and that will really help your relationship.
And that's why I say, like, if you're in the single phase, the gift of it can be figuring out what you really love to do. So also, one, because we're meant to, but even in relationship, continue to do those things. Like you're in such discovery of these are the things that I'll continue to do and keep my magnetism alive. But I talk all the time about how to know you're in the wrong relationship. I really wanted to bring you on to help us distinguish how you know if you're in the right relationship. And it sounds like you gave us some support on how to prepare for that too and what goes on behind the scenes before creating that space for them. I don't think that's talked about that much, but I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think just really it's like trusting your gut and not your mind, especially if you've been in unhealthy relationships prior to meeting maybe somebody who is for you. Your mind will try to sabotage you and bring you back to what's comfortable, which might be unhealthy. And so to notice that, I really almost sabotaged a relationship by
Mm.
my mind telling me, "Oh, you guys are different. He has different like hobbies. He has blah blah blah." Like, just hyper fixating on the differences, which of course you're gonna have differences with your partner. Um, there was part of me that thought we had to be the exact same person in order to like be in love, and which is, I will just say, it could not be farther from the truth. I am so fucking grateful that we are so different, because if I was dating a me, I would go crazy. Like, no. He is very much complimentary to me, and I didn't see that as a good thing at the start, and I really had to work through a lot of that. Mm, I read a lot of books. I listened to a lot of podcasts. Like, it wasn't just like me easy, effortlessly manifesting my man. Like, that is not what happened. It was very much like work. And in fact, probably the most like it's like the work that I did was so worth it, because it's the most rewarding thing ever to be in a relationship where you feel fully loved and you know this person is your ride or die, you know? Like, that's what we all want.
Do you when did you feel like you knew? Did you know just because it felt different right then? Like if you look back or so many people want to know, like when did you
Yeah.
know? And me included.
Okay. So he said he knew after the first date. I did not know that.
Ah.
I knew a few months in when we went to a comedy show, and I think like I had a drink and I was like feeling like a little loosey. Like, and I told my friend Eric, it was like a co-ed bathroom. It was kind of a weird setup. But anyways, I told him in the bathroom, I was like, Eric, please spin. And like, I don't even remember saying that until Eric told me like years later. He's like, you told me that Kurt was going to be your husband. I was like, I did. He reminded me of that. Um, but I knew very quickly. And then, because there was no red flags, there was only green flags. Everything was just great. And if you have the belief that it's too good to be true, well, then you will push that away. So make sure you have the belief that it can be this good. Um, and then he told me, this is hilarious. When he told me he loved me, I responded and said, thank you.
Did it catch you off guard? Or it's just automatic what came through? Like what?
I think I just had a huge raging fear of commitment. And I was so, I don't know if it's the Sagittarius in me or what, but I was like, oh, like it kind of made me realize, like, oh my God, this is like an actual real thing now. Like he just told me he loved me. Like, fuck, like, like it's so funny. It just, yeah. But
How did he
once we
take
walked out of
that
dinner,
when you said it like that?
oh my God, he was like heartbroken. And he told me later, once we
Oh,
talked about it, he's like, I can't believe you said thank you. We talked about it. We literally brought this story up like 2 weeks ago. We were talking about something. He's like, remember that time you said thank you? And I said, I love you.
but then did you say it later, like on your own, or you
Yeah.
waited till he said
Yeah.
it again?
No, I did. I was
Okay,
like,
ball was in your court now.
yeah, I was like, sorry, it honestly just like caught me off guard. Like
Hmm.
I didn't even know what to say and I didn't want to force I love you too out of my mouth. And I did love him, but like it just I think it scared me to admit it to myself, to be
It
honest.
can
And then
sometimes catch you off guard, especially the first one. You don't know it's coming.
a
I've had
hundred
moments
percent,
like that too, and I'm like, no, I really like or I do, but like, I don't know. It's sometimes so I love you too. Like it almost sometimes feels weird the first,
a hundred
right?
percent. Because we had already been saying like, I really like you, like the
Yeah.
cute like things you do and say. Um and yeah, it was just he was always the one that was very transparent actually about how he felt about me. And he made it very clear that he was like, "You're my girl," you know? And I was like,
We'll see.
"Yeah,
You got to
yes,
work for it.
for sure." And I think it's good to have, a little bit of a guard up and just have discernment, like not just like just because someone says they like you doesn't mean you need to do that and feel that right away either. Like let it burn. Um But he made it very clear with both his words and his actions, which were very consistent with each other, that I was the one. And so I was like, okay, that's good. I was just terrified. That was why I almost sabotaged everything because I was scared to really be seen and loved and vulnerable, you know?
I wonder what the fearfully was.
It's funny because I think like with him, I'm very like I am fully 100% myself, all sides, all angles. I have no fears with him. But I still notice some of those same fears that started to rise in my relationship with him at the beginning. They show up in other parts of my life for sure. Fears of vulnerability, fears of just being seen as an imperfect human, fears of being dependent. Like there's a lot of that stuff that shows up in other parts of my life. Um, and I feel like my relationship is the thing I am the most proud of. It's the thing I've done the most work on. And it also feels like the compass for my life. Like I'm like, if I can do everything else in my life as not good, but like as following this like blueprint of what I did in this relationship, like it will work.
Yeah. And that's why I felt it would be fun to bring you on and have a conversation like fully focused on this. Like
Yeah.
we could talk about all the things, business, money, all the things. You're an expert at so many things, but this, yeah.
Yeah, and it's so fun, sharing these types of stories that like I don't often share, not
Right.
because I don't want to. Like I love talking about this, honestly. It's inspiring me to like want to talk more about it on my podcast and in my content and all that stuff too. But um I do think that it's such a like beautiful conversation, because nobody doesn't want love,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
100%.
There's just so much programming and conditioning and just beliefs we have to shift in order to receive it.
I think that's like the biggest takeaway I get from you today.
Yeah. But yeah.
Yay. Well, I love you so much. You're one of my favorite people on the planet.
Oh, I
So,
love you too, and I feel the same. I'm
yeah,
honored. Thank you for having me on, and I'm so excited to hear how this lands
I
for
know.
everyone. And I just love that your mission and our missions align so much of returning people back to who they truly are, in different ways.
Yes. And I'm excited for the people to now have contacts when they see us in Spain
Yes.
together. Now
Celebrating
they
out a
know who
friend.
you are. Yes. Yay.
I know.
Well, thank you. I'm going to put all your information below. Listener, reach out to us. Let us know. Share what came up for you, any breakthroughs. We want to hear your wins. We want to hear your celebrations. I know I definitely do. So, yeah, this was fun. I can't wait to re listen to it too. So, have an
Me too.
amazing day. And I love you so much.
Oh, I love you too. Thank you.